good day to all the viewers. Welcome to Banglar Shikha Classroom, an endeavor of Paschim Bongo Samagro Shikha Mission, Department of Education, Government of West Bengal. I am Dr. Ivy Sarkar, Headmistress, Srirampur Girls' High School, Srirampur, Hooghly. Today, I am going to impart the lesson of studies by the famous essayist Francis Bacon for Class 11 Semester 2 examinees. So, let us start the lesson. Now you can see on the board Francis Bacon and his essay of studies that we are going to study today. So, let's start. Now, you can see the picture of Francis Bacon. Just have a look at him. He was Francis Bacon, the famous essayist of the 17th century. Now, Francis Bacon was an English philosopher. He was a statesman, an essayist who revolutionized how we think about knowledge, how we think about learning. He served as Attorney General and Lord Chancellor of England under King James I. As the father of the English essay form, he blended wit. He blended wit with wisdom and practical advice. He was a Renaissance man. Bacon pioneered the scientific method and he championed empirical inquiry, arguing that knowledge should serve humanity's progress and practical needs. He is often called the father of empiricism due to his focus on observation and evidence-based reasoning. He is also called the father of English essays and the father of modern prose. Now, you can see, so we have tried to give a glimpse of the important points of his life. So you should remember what we see, that he was the Renaissance man, true Renaissance man. So what's Renaissance? Why he is called a Renaissance thinker? We will come to know this, and we should remember that he is called the father of English essays and father of modern prose. So he is the father of English essays, he is the father of modern prose, and not only this, he is also called father of empiricism. So empiricism is scientific reasoning, evidence-based reasoning. So about Francis Bacon, what we need to remember is that he revolutionized how we think about knowledge, how we think about learning. The way we think about knowledge, the way we think about learning, after you read Francis Bacon, you will understand, your perception will change. You will understand how he has brainstormed us, how our perception, our outlook can change. So, he has revolutionized knowledge and learning, and after you go through his essay, you will find it in every line. You will be able to understand this in every line. So, now these are the points that you should remember. He revolutionized knowledge, revolutionized learning. He revolutionized the concept on which he wrote. If you read his essays, you will find this. And he is a true Renaissance man. That means the Renaissance spirit are to be found in him. So we will see where those Renaissance spirit we could find in Francis Bacon. And he is called the father of empiricism. He is called the father of modern essays. He is called the father of modern prose. So you should remember these important points. So now let's go to the next slide. Now see, Renaissance mind at work. Who had this Renaissance mind? Of course, Francis Bacon had this Renaissance mind. Now, what this Renaissance, now let us know a bit about Francis Bacon. In 1561, he was born in London. So date is 1561. He entered a world of political influence as the son of Sir Nicholas Bacon, Lord Keeper of the Great Seal. So this is a bit about his biography or childhood days. Then in 1573, he was a Cambridge scholar. He enrolled at Trinity College at the remarkable age of 12, displaying exceptional intellectual gifts. Exceptional intellectual gifts. This was evident when he was a student. And due to this, he had all revolutionary thoughts. His thoughts are not conventional, not traditional. His way of looking at knowledge, looking at learning, looking at traveling, looking at any concept is a bit different. And when we read his essays, we understand that bit by bit, and every bit of it we'll try to understand. And then from this, from being that Cambridge scholar, started his journey, and his vision was shaped as a Renaissance thinker. Now, what this Renaissance mind had, actually, Renaissance spirit believed in observation, they believed in reasoning. A Renaissance mind believed in reasoning. They believed everything that was based on reason. So they based on reason based. So mind was reason based. Reason based. And you know, they had all this Renaissance mind, they had a mind of inquiry. So there was a mind of inquiry. So without inquiry, they did not believe. So sometimes we believe things that we see. Sometimes we believe things. Just we take things for granted. But a Renaissance mind, a critical mind, a logical mind, a mind of reason, a mind of inquiry. So they would inquire things before they believe. They observe things. And of course, a Renaissance mind, they believed in human values. They believed in human values. They had a humanistic approach. Humanistic approach. They had a humanistic approach. And what else? Of course, they believed in the integration of knowledge with practical things. So, knowledge and practicality, that went hand in hand. So, they believed in this practical wisdom. So, practical approach to knowledge, we can say. Knowledge and practicality, or the practical approach to knowledge. Experience of life. So, a Renaissance mind was a reason-based mind, was a mind of inquiry, mind of inquiry, that had a humanistic approach. They believed in human progress through observation and experience and practical utility of things. So, Francis Bacon had a similar mind. In off studies also, he tried to consider, he tried to weigh, he tried to judge each and every aspect critically. And he has given us the food for thought. So, now I hope you understand how the Renaissance spirit was in Francis Bacon. Actually, you know, there can be a question of 6 marks. Write a note on the Renaissance spirit of Francis Bacon as you observe from his essay of studies. So then we will have to know first what is a Renaissance mind, what they believed in. So they believed in reason, they believed in scientific approach, they believed in inquiring things. They believed in evidence-based things. They had a humanistic approach, a practical approach. And they believed in human progress through practical experience. So this is what they believed in. So if you know this is the spirit of Renaissance, then you will be able to understand how has Bacon used them in his essay of studies. So let us now move to the next slide. Now we are coming directly to the text of studies. Now here you will find that Bacon, or Francis Bacon, his marvelous style of writing. He has used aphorisms, short sentences which serve as wise sayings. Means each and every sentence of Bacon will serve as a wise saying or a proverb. They are proverbial. ফ্রান্সিস বেকনের যে কোনো বাক্যই প্রত্যেকটি বা এক একটি বাক্যই হচ্ছে এক একটা প্রবাদের মতো. So now let us see. And he has used threefold structure of a sentence. This is his style. Because there can be one question about Bacon's prose style. This can be of 6 marks. Now see, the first, this is from your text. Now let us see. Studies serve for delight, for ornament, and for ability. Their chief use for delight is in privateness and retiring. For ornament is in discourse, and for ability is in the judgment and disposition of business. So this is one point. So what I told you, Bacon has used threefold structure of a sentence or threefold sentences. Threefold. Now, see, so in the first sentence, he has tried to enumerate, tried to list the uses of studies. Studies, what is the use? What does studies serve? Studies serve for delight. This is one purpose of study. Delight means pleasure. They give us pleasure. When we study, we get pleasure. See, when you were a child, you used to read comics, isn't it? The comic stories that used to give you pleasure. You read phantom stories, you read fairy tales, so that gave you pleasure. We read storybooks for pleasure. So studies give us pleasure. Studies also serve for ornament. So this is the second point, ornament. Ornament means if you study, you develop good vocabulary, then your language, your speech becomes more refined and polished and ornamented. So without study, you will not have that knowledge, you will not have that language, stock of that language or words. And so your oratory, your speech might not be improved. So if you study, that will provide you those stock of words with which you can use in your speech. So that provides as ornament. And studies serve for ability. Most important function is ability. So we study for transacting our business, for executing our potentials, for our job, for ability, how able we are to show that. How to show? If we study, then that study will help us to show our ability to the world. So studies, see the threefold functions of study. Studies serve for delight, happiness. They serve for ornament. They give us ornament or good stock of words, good vocabulary to our speech. And studies serve to express our ability for our job, for transacting our business. Now, Bacon elaborates this point. Their chief use for delight. There means studies. So chief use, main use, primary use for studies for delight is in privateness. Privateness or retiring. So if you go for delight, then when you get delight, for delight in privateness, when you are retiring, retiring means you have leisure time, leisure hour, you are free. In those moments, we love to study for delight because we are free. So we would read some light magazines or some stories or novels that will provide us pleasure. So for when we read for delight, we use our private time or our retiring time or time when we are having a lot of free space. For ornament is in discourse. Discourse means conversation. Discourse means discussion. So when we go for discussion or conversation or debating or oratory or for giving speech somewhere, then we study. We try to get notes. We study. We see which words can be used, how we can improve our style of speaking and the language. So for ornament, when we use study for ornament, when we have to give a speech or when we have to debate or discourse. And for ability, this one, for ability is in the judgment and disposition of business. So judgment, when we have to undertake a business, for disposition of business, for undertaking a business, for executing a business or a job, for judging something and for carrying out the job, we need that knowledge, that studies that will provide us with the capability to judge something and carry out the business. So then also we need study. So the first point that I have bracketed, what does that show? That studies have three functions. They are used for delight, for ornament, for ability. Isn't it? For ability. So delight, when we have gained pleasure, at those time, when we are having private time or when we are retiring. For ornament, we study when we have to take part in some discourse or debate or speech making. For ability, when we have to undertake some serious business or we have to execute some job. Now, I hope this line is clear to you. And so this line is clear to you. So now let's see this point in a nutshell. So this is what I told you. The purpose of learning. So in the first sentence, Bacon has identified three essential uses of study. First is delight. You can see delight for pleasure. Studies provide personal pleasure to us. It enriches our inner lives and bringing joy in privateness, in seclusion, and retiring means leisure time. It gives us joy. And we also study for ornament. Ornament, learning enhances discourse. Discourse means discussion or conversation. So it allows us, if you have ornament in our speech, then it will allow us to speak better. And study also help us in increasing or improving our ability. So it will study sharpens judgment and disposition of business. So study provides skills, those essential skills for business, for decision making, life's problems. So these are the three purposes of study that Bacon highlights at the beginning of his essay. So there can be a 2 marks question. This part is so important that you can get 2 marks question as well as 6 marks question based on this point. Next slide. Now, see here, previously what I told you, I have explained you this part, right? I hope you have understood this part. Now the second part, from for expert, from here up to learned. This part, we will understand this part. What is said in this part? Here, a difference has been, a differentiation, a contrast has been made between expert and learned men. So let us understand this contrast. So now see the line from the text. This is line 3 to 5. For expert men can execute and perhaps judge of particulars one by one, but the general counsels and the plots and marshalling of affairs come best from those that are learned. So I have read from lines 3 to 5. So what has been said here? A contrast is made between expert men and learned men. So what's that? Expert men. So expert men means those who are experienced. Expert men, experienced, maybe unlearned, but experienced. Sometimes, a man who polishes shoes, he's expert in doing that task because he has been doing that for years. He might not be learned, or he might not be having great knowledge or huge knowledge about shoemaking or about the polish or about the brush, but he is expert in doing the task of polishing the shoe because he has been doing that for years. So he is expert in polishing. That is, he is experienced. But he may not be learned. That is, having huge knowledge about polish making or shoe making or brush making. He might not be having that knowledge. So these people are expert men. They can execute tasks well. They can do the tasks well. They may judge small issues, particular one at a time. So small issue, they have a small piece of work which they can do well. And they learn by doing. So they are men of experience. They have hands-on or practical knowledge. These are expert men. They learn by doing. So they can act at that particular moment, but they may not foresee or understand the consequence, or they may not design complex strategies. I hope you have understood. They learn by doing. They do a particular task at a time continuously. So they are experienced. They have practical knowledge of doing things and learning from that. But they might not be knowing the strategies behind, or they might not be able to design strategies. They cannot. So who are learned men? Learned men are those who excel in general counsels. That means they have excellence. They have broad strategies. They have long-term plans. They can coordinate. So they are the policy makers. They have the knowledge. The great engineers or the philosophers. So they have that knowledge. They are the learned men. So they can plot. They can engage in marshalling of affairs, means overall planning and administration. They can do that. So study gives them that wisdom. They are strategists. They are thinkers. They are planners. They may rely or depend on the expert for carrying out their work. So they actually plan things, and then they might depend upon the expert. They give a part of the job to the expert. So there are different experts. They give a part of the job to each one of them, each one of those groups, and then those experts can carry out. So Francis Bacon has differentiated expert men and from learned men. So expert are the experienced ones, but they are experienced at a particular thing or particular job or a small job, might not be having strategies or might not be able to design complex strategies. But learned men are the one who are the strategists, who are the thinkers, who are the planners, who are the plotters. They design things. So I hope you have understood the difference. So now we'll move to the next slide. So up to this, it has been explained. Now we'll come to this point. To spend too much time in studies is sloth. To use them too much for ornament is affectation. And to make judgment wholly by their rules. Wholly means fully. Wholly means fully. Fully. F-U-L-L-Y. By their rules is the humor of a scholar. So now we have another point. Now we have another point. What is it? Now this line points out limitations of the use of studies. So in the first line we have seen that studies serve for delight. That means studies give us pleasure. If we study, we get ornament for our speech. If we study, we develop ability to work better. These are the three things. These were the three things, right? But now he gives the limitations, the drawbacks. If you spend too much time on studies for delight, for pleasure, I'm studying only for pleasure, then what will happen? It will make you sloth, lazy. Only you are sleeping and studying comics or the books you love, the books that might not help you in your job. So spending too much time on your pleasure reading will make you sloth. So to spend too much time in studies is sloth. To use too much for ornament is affectation. Now what is this? Showing off. Affectation is showing off. Now, okay, you see, I want to use good vocabulary. I want to use better vocabulary. I want that people should understand that I know much. So my vocabulary, my language should be very polished. But if I keep on using tough, hard, complex, difficult words in my speech, then that will simply be showing off. And to the person whom I would address my speech, they might not be able to understand. Suppose there is a word called hate. No, love, opposite of love is hate. Now I know many tough words for hate. You know, for hate we can say obnoxious. Another meaning of hate is abominable. Another meaning of hate is abhorrent. So if I use too much, abhorrent, abominable, obnoxious, then you might not be able to understand, and that might be my showing off. So if you use too many words for your ornamentation, then that might be affectation. That might be affectation or showing off. It will be a pedantry, showing off. And to make judgment wholly by their rules is the humor of a scholar. What does this mean? So we know another use of study is for ability. Ability means we will judge things properly, we will understand things, we will judge things, and then we will make some decision. And then we will able to work out things. But if we always go by rules, then that is a kind of whimsicality, or that is a kind of eccentricity. Eccentricity. You know, in Bengali we say paglamo. Eccentricity. Always, you know, if you can remember one picture, if you have seen that picture, I think you have seen the Sholay. You remember there's a famous film, Hindi, Bollywood film, where the jailer was always depending and always insisting on the rules. So too much of rules, if you try to apply too many rules or too much of rules, then you appear to be eccentric. So that is the humor of a scholar. So these are the limitations of studies. Here also you can have a 2 marks question. So what are the drawbacks of studies? So if we study too much for pleasure, we will become sloth. If we use too much of our knowledge for ornamentation, that will be our affectation or showing off. And if we try to judge each and everything only by their rules, then that also becomes a kind of eccentricity. So now see what we have done here. So now you see here we are having 2 points. This is 1 point, 1, 3, 4 sentence, and this is the limitation. This is the use and this is the limitation. In between we have the difference between experts and learned men. So we'll move to the next slide. So this is our next slide. Now see here, this is line 7 to 10. What we have? They perfect nature and are perfected by experience. They perfect nature. This is the line from the text. They perfect nature. They means studies. Studies give perfection to our nature, to our potentials. And they are perfected by experience. So, studies give perfection to our nature. So, let me change the color of the pen. See. Now, see. And perfected by experience. So, this is what we have. So, they mean studies. Studies perfect our nature. Our nature cannot be perfect if we don't have sufficient knowledge or studies that you know. So, whatever natural abilities we have, whatever natural potentials we have, they can be made perfect by studies. And studies can be more perfect. You know, some study randomly, some study in a technical way, some study very carefully with much planning. So, studies can also be perfect or imperfect. And Bacon says that studies can be perfected by experience. However you study, how much you study, but when you enter the practical field, and you experience life, you experience the situation, then you can understand how much you are able to use that study in that practical field. So your experience also gives you a lot of knowledge in every field. So studies perfect our nature and are perfected. Studies that is perfected or studies are perfected by experience. You have understood? Now here one comparison has been made. Natural abilities are like plants that need pruning. Pruning, it should be pruning. This is archaic word, pruning. Natural abilities are like natural plants. So what figure of speech is this? This is a simile. So here natural abilities of human beings are compared to natural plants. Natural potentials, the quality that we have, they are just like natural plants. This is a simile. Why is this a simile? Here natural potentials are compared to plants by the help of the word like. And so this is a clear comparison and so it is a simile. Now just like natural plants, they need pruning. You have to prune them. You have to trim them. You have to take care of them. They need that pruning to become better, to grow better. Okay, so similarly, our natural abilities, they also need trimming. They also need grooming. They also need grooming. How? By study. So suppose you have a natural talent for photography, but your natural talent can be bettered by different workshops on photography. If you study on photography, if you study about photography, that can be better, isn't it? Similarly, our natural talents, the natural qualities, that can be bettered and can be groomed in a better way by study. By study. And studies themselves do give forth directions too much at large. So, studies themselves do give directions too much at large. What does this phrase mean? Give forth directions too much at large. When you study something, then they give you a broader vision. A broader vision. Too much at large. A larger vision. That might be a bit vague even at times. It gives you a larger domain of knowledge. But that study becomes perfect if they are bounded in by experience, if they are added or supported by experience. So that means what? Study gives us too much at large, means studies gives us a broader idea of anything. But when you experience that, when you apply that in the practical field, then after applying only, you have a clearer understanding of the concept provided to you by your study. That means study is more theoretical, but experience is practical. So after we combine practicality or practical situation with theory, then only our knowledge is sharpened and it is perfected. I hope it is clear to you. This was the line. So here what is being said? See, natural talents. Natural talents have been compared to plants. Like wild plants, our innate abilities need careful cultivation and pruning through disciplined study. Okay, so our natural talents can be more perfect through study, and studies only gives us structure. Studies can be even better by experience. So learning is broad and expansive, gives us the framework, and this can be better how? This can be better through experience. Experience shapes knowledge. So real world application focuses and refines what we have learned, transforming theory into practical wisdom. So see the simile. Now if you were asked, explain the comparison between natural talents and natural plants, this can be a 2 marks question. So see the answer. Just as a garden flourishes under the gardener's skilled hand, the human mind reaches its full potential when natural gifts are cultivated through purposeful study and shaped by life experience. So I hope you have understood this much in part 1. Meeting you next with the part 2 very soon. Thank you.